Okay, guys, good afternoon and welcome to this session. I hope you're all there and awake. Can you hear my audio, please? Please answer yes or no. My audio, are you able to hear? Yes, Shreya, Shashank, Kaveri, Sneha, Shreya, yes, good. So let's start off with the unfinished business that we have in reading comprehension. Let's start off with this particular passage. Okay, so please read this passage and answer the question. That's the first passage that we're going to do today. Read the passage. It requires utmost clarity in terms of answering this question. Let me check up what's the kind of clarity that you have. Read the question, read the passage carefully. All right, can I have the answer, please? Can I have the answer? People are taking a lot of time. Who is the first one to answer? People have answered. Anaga has answered, Harshita has answered, Shreya has answered. Very nice. What about the rest? Where are the others? Where are the others? Kaveri has answered. Very nice. Actually, the question deals with, yes, Kiran Bhai, welcome back. After a long time, you're back. Your answer is correct. Which one of the following statements is true? And actually, all the options deal with the main idea of the passage. So this is a question on the main idea. Some people are hesitating to answer. Sneha Shreya. Really? Shreya Reddy. You really have to look at the answers that you're given. We are dealing with the main idea, madam. I told you what to do with the main idea. Main idea. Main idea means what is the subject, what is being said about the subject. You got to be careful about it. Subject is the hero of the passage. What is being said about the subject is the main idea. Where are the others? I want to see the others also. Sudhanshu, Bhagirath, Srinivas. Where are the others? Lakshmi Priya. Yes, Sudhanshu, good. I want to see others also because this is an extremely, I would say, not a difficult one. A question which will test your clarity of thinking. Lakshmi Priya. Really, Lakshmi Priya? Shreya. Okay. Really? Where are the others? I want the others to answer. Okay, now I've waited enough. Let me. Harshit Verma. Yes, that's right. Good. So I told you that when we are discussing the main idea, okay, you're not visible to me. Is that a problem? I'm not visible actually. Okay, see, the point is, when we are discussing the main idea, I said that look for a topic sentence. If you have a topic sentence and if you can identify a topic sentence, things will become easy. In this particular case, the topic sentence is straight in front of you. What is the topic sentence? The ignoring of context in any act of interpretation is at best a stupid practice. The topic sentence is given straight in the first sentence itself. The ignoring of context is not the right thing to do. The ignoring of context is not the right thing to do. That is what is said in the first sentence itself. Now, at its worst, it can be a vicious practice. What is vicious? Vicious means very evil. A common example is a sensational newspaper story. Now, what is he giving? He is giving an example here. So this newspaper story is an example that the author is giving to talk about his main idea, to support his main idea. So it is wrong to say that the paragraph is about a university teacher's experience. No, the paragraph is not about university teacher's experience. The paragraph is about ignoring of context. And the author has used this particular newspaper story as an example to support it. Okay, so whatever you see later is all an example to support his main idea. The main idea is the ignoring of context. So this paragraph is about the practice of ignoring context. I hope you all got right. Shriram, who is Shriram? The practice of ignoring context. Okay, the answer is D. The answer is D. Okay, so yeah, Supraja, sorry, Supraja. Yeah, so good, you got it right. So it is not about propaganda. It is not about journalistic propaganda. It is not about the university teacher's experience that has been shown as an example, but the passage is all about ignoring of context. Okay, let's go on. Now let's see. How do you answer this question? Please answer this question. What is the answer to this question? Supraja has got it. Let's see. Lakshmi Priya. Kaveri, yes, you got it right. Harshit Verma got it right. Kiran Mai, fantastic, got it right. Anaga got it right. Who else? S. Shreya. Where did you get that answer, madam? S. Shreya. Where did you get that answer? Lakshmi Priya, you have to check up your answer. Even the second answer is not all right. Okay, let's see. Let's see what it is. Let us. Yes, Shashank, good. You got it right. No, you didn't get it right. Sorry. Oh, Lakshmi Priya, you got it right. Sorry, Lakshmi Priya, you got it right. Got it right. My mistake. Sneha Shriya, you got to see. You got to see your answer. Let us see. Which one of the following statements is true? The A says, man owes his capacity to make use of tools and language to evolutionary developments. So, if you see the last sentence, since no other animals have achieved these abilities, it must be assumed that man's evolutionary development led to his capacity to create and use tools. It is only assumed. Owes his capacity to make use of tools. So it must be assumed. All right. So that needn't necessarily be the right answer. B, if you see, among the animals of the world, man alone has acquired the ability to use tools and languages. So that is given straight away because that stand out about the others are the creation and use of tools. So this is where it is given. Right? And the development and use of language. So this is explicitly given in the passage, and therefore the answer is B and most of. Okay. Contemplate means what? Think. Okay. Let's go on. Let's look at the next one. Let's look at the next one. This is a very simple one. Try to answer this question, please. This is a simple one. Please answer this. Where is Srinivas Reddy today? Bhagirath Reddy today? Don't see them. Kaveri. Yes, Kaveri. You got it right. Yes, Supraja, got it right. Who else? Ashreya, got it right. Harshit Verma, where are you? Harshita, where are you? Shashank has got it right. Srinivas, yes, you got it right. Sneha Shriya has got it right. Lakshmi Priya has got it right. Tara, welcome. Got it right. Harshit Verma, yes. Sudhanshu, good. Right. So all of you have got it. This is not a very difficult question. This is a very simple question. Some inedible parts of the slaughtered animals are used in making drugs. Okay. So that's not a very difficult one. Kiran Mai, sulfur is not even mentioned, madam. So sulfur is not even mentioned anywhere. Don't even think about it. It's not even mentioned. Is it mentioned anywhere? So that can't be the answer. So answer is C. All right. So let's go on. Okay, let's look at the next one. Please answer question number 8. Answer question number 8. Now this has a lot of nice words, but the question is simple. Eight. Yes, some of you have answered. Harshit Verma has got it. Supraja has got it. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's try to read this passage. It contains a lot of difficult words. By the time the book is published, the writer is generally so sick of the whole enterprise that he all but hates his new book as well as himself. So he is putting it with a bit of sarcasm. This means cleverly or grimly humorous. This right state of affairs, this is right, state of affairs is akin, means similar to, that which afflicts means affects a troubled parent contemplating the dubious, means doubtful, suspect, the dubious charms of a demanding and incorrigible child. Incorrigible, we already discussed this in one word substitutes, that a person who cannot be corrected. A demanding and incorrigible child, just as it is a rather monotonous. Monotonous means something which is unvarying, very uniform. So something very dull and boring. So is a rather monotonous quirk. Quirk means a peculiar trait. Quirk means a peculiar trait. So just as it is a rather monotonous quirk of biology that few children are born perfect, so it is that few writers ever write the books they first dreamed of. That means very few people do it. Most writers doggedly means stubborn determination. Doggedly means stubborn determination. Most writers follow their little dreams, else books would never get written. And for these two, perhaps the happiest time is when their glowing sun burst first hit them. That euphoric moment. All right. Euphoric means marked by a feeling of great happiness or excitement. You feel euphoric when you are extremely happy, all right, or very excited. So that euphoric moment of drawing inspiration. Statements is true. Passage is very, very thick with a lot of new words, but the question is simple. Few people become so disillusioned about books as do their writers. Not given. Writers are hopelessly miserable persons, not mentioned anywhere in the passage. Writers must have superior intellect, not given anywhere. Most writers are the dogged pursuers. In fact, the same word dogged is also used here. So most writers, so it's a call, this question is a reading recall question. Reading recall. It is there in the passage, and similar sentence is also there in the answer. So your job is very simple. Lot of words are there. You may not know the meaning of the words. Don't bother too much about it. Look at the question, look at the answer. As long as you can answer the question without knowing meaning of certain words, don't bother. So if you come across certain words whose meanings you don't know while reading the passage, don't get too much worked out, because the question may not deal with any of those words. Okay, let's go on. Let's go on to the next question. This is again another easy question. Let's see who can answer this, and fast please, because there are not too many tough words here. Yes. Supraja has got it. Kiranmai has got it. Kaveri, Srinivas, everybody has got it. Good. Well, Sudhanshu has got it. Not a very tough one. So answer clearly here is there are many references to food and drink in the Bible. So here we have it. Old and New Testaments. So a little bit of general knowledge, you got to use it. Normally, you're not expected to use your knowledge outside the passage, but here, since no other reference is given, you can go ahead and answer this. There are many references to food and drink in the Bible. All right, let's go on. Okay, let's try to answer this. The next passage, 10th question, please. 10th question. There is an eye catcher here. You got to be careful about this eye catcher. I'm warning you straight away. Yes, what is the answer? Kiran Mai has got it right. Supraja has got it right. Shreya, Shreya, I told you. I warned you. Don't be in a hurry to answer questions. Harshit Verma got it right. Srinivas Reddy got it right. Who else? Shreya, yes, now you got it right. Basically, the question is very simple. There is an eye catcher here, and that is, of all wild animals, this option, if you see, we know that in the first sentence, he says they are misrepresented. In the option here, he says they are represented, not misrepresented. So everything else follows the sentence. So there will be a great tendency to mark this as the right answer. Okay, I told you this is a perfect example of an eye catcher. It catches your attention for all the wrong reasons, and you will be tempted to answer the question and get negative marks. Don't ever do that. Reading comprehension, often people get negative marks. This, okay? So answer is straightforward. According to folklore, folklore means here he's talking about popular fantasy. That is folklore. Wolves have attacked marching regiments. So answer is D. A grizzled is a graying, old, graying. All right, graying. Foil. Foil is to thwart, prevent from say an attack. Foil is to thwart. Okay. Ambush. There is an ambush here. A surprise attack. Ambush is a surprise attack. All right. So these are terrorists often indulge in ambushes, or guerrilla. They are called guerrilla attackers. They believe in ambushes, a surprise attack. Let's go on. Next question, 11th question. Please try to answer this 11th question. Okay, let's see. What is the answer to the 11th one? 11th one answer, please. Kaveri has got it. Good, Kaveri. Shreya Reddy has got it. Good. Good, Shreya Reddy. Kiran Mai has got it. Okay. Tara has got it. Very good. Girls in the forefront. Harshit Verma, where are you? Shreya has got it. Srinivas Reddy has got it. Good. Supraja, where are you? Sneha Shriya, where are you? Harshita, where are you? Lakshmi Priya. Okay, so this is quite a simple passage. Sudhanshu, good, you're right. Business and government to refer to activities ranging from fire drill to political propaganda have snatched the word education. So activities ranging from fire drill to political propaganda. So if you see, business uses the word education to cover a wide range of activities. How do you know about wide range of activities? Activities ranging from fire drill to political propaganda. So answer is B. There are certain words here. Alluring. Alluring means attractive. Genteel means upper class, aristocratic, also graceful. Okay, elegant. Okay, so these genteel, here it is upper class. Then despise. Despise means look down upon somebody. Okay, so 11th was an easy passage. Let's go on. Let's go on. Let's look at the 12th one. 12th one is again an easy way of answering, easy passage. Please answer this. 12th one. Harshit has already answered it. Supraja has got it. Tara has answered. Tara, you have to again. Anaga has got it. Harshita, Shreya, all of you have to read the passage carefully. Sneha Shreya, you also. Kiran Mai has got it. Shashank. Tara, you got it right. See, here, see, that is what, you know, that is what you got to be careful in reading comprehension. Read the passage clearly. Okay. Now, if you see, what has he said? It's a very simple passage. Merchants have advertised their wares for hundreds of years. So advertising is really very there for hundreds of years. But the history of advertising as a great social and economic force began less than a century ago. So though advertising existed for a long time, that being a great social and economic force began less than a century ago. In this sense, it is given there. In this sense of the word, advertising is a child of our modern industrial age. Advertising is not a child of our modern industrial age. Advertising is old, has been there for a long time. In this sense, in that. So you may be tempted to answer A, but A is not the right answer. And in fact, the DTB operator has made a mistake. I'm sure you can make that out. All are A's here. So in a way, all those people who have given A as an answer are also right. Yeah. So this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D, this is B, this is C, and this is D. All right. Okay, that's a mistake there. So anyway, answer is advertising greatly influences the way people spend their money. That is given explicitly here. So answer is B. Advertising greatly influences the money. So don't be misled by certain sentences. Read clearly. That is the moral of the story here. Let's go on. Okay, this is again a very simple one. Let's see how you can answer this. Please answer the 13th question. 13th question, please. Yes, Harshit. Got it right. Kaveri has got it right. Kaveri, you're right. What about the rest? Yes, Supraja, Anaga, you all got it right. Sudhanshu, yes. Okay. Democracy, like communism, is not a dogma. What is a dogma? Dogma is something which is held as an established opinion. Okay. A code of standards which somebody gives you and you believe it unquestioningly. You don't question it. Somebody gives you, you believe it. It's an established opinion. It is authoritative. That's a dogma. Okay. Democracy, like communism, is not a dogma. Okay. With all the answers coming down to us from a political or bureaucratic, the answers, nobody tells you how to live your life. Unlike in a communist society, that's what he says. The essential ingredient of democracy is not doctrine. We already discussed doctrine earlier. Doctrine is a set of principles, a policy. It is not doctrine, but intelligence. Not authority, but reason. Not cynicism, but faith in man. Faith in God. Our strength lies in the fearless and untiring pursuit of truth by the men who are free. So if you see which one of the following, the democratic way of life rejects standardized thought. If you see, the best answer out there is C. A democracy can best survive and defend itself when its people understand that the foundation of democratic life is freedom from being told what to think. So no dogma. So the essential ingredient, that's what we're talking about. Okay. Essential ingredient. Our strength lies in the fearless and untiring pursuit of truth. This is what it is. So answer is, a democracy can best survive and defend itself when its people understand that the foundation of democratic life is freedom from being told what to think. Let's go on to question 14, please. 14th. This is a very easy one. I won't give you too much time. Yes, Supraja. Yes, answer is clear. Srinivas, yes. Kaveri, yes. Yeah, very simple. Shreya. Shreya. Oh, why am I getting all kinds of answers? Why am I getting all kinds? Lakshmi Priya, you have to look at your answer. Lakshmi Priya, where is male being talked about? Where is that being talked about at all? Where did you get that? All right. Can't be the answer. He's like an iceberg. Why? How did you get this? Can't be the answer. All right. So straight away it is given. One's earning power is greatly increased by college training. That's what it talks about. Okay, college training. And what does it do? Viewed strictly from a materialistic point of view, they are conspicuously successful. Okay, they hold the best jobs, the positions of great prestige, they make a great deal more money, etc., etc., etc. Than their non-college contemporaries do. Everything is given there straight away. One's earning power is greatly increased by college. Answer is A. Don't complicate it. When the answer is straight simple, don't complicate it. 15th question. Please answer the 15th question. Fifteenth question. It's a difficult to answer. Okay, it's a little difficult to answer this question. Let's see how you can answer this. Let's try to answer this. Perhaps the most significant change in executive work and the cause of a good deal of the extra work and the cause of a good deal of the extra work. Please note that. Perhaps the most and the cause of a good deal of the extra work is the fact that it involves more and more contacts with more and more individuals. Physically, executives used to inhabit a fairly limited world. Today, the sheer number of human relationships that executives are engaged in over a month's time has reached enormous proportions. The question, in short, is not simply how much executives work, it is how they find time to work. So the question, enormous amount of time that they are spending. Here also he's talking about extra work. Okay, and the enormous amount of time, it is how they find time to work. Okay, so now if you look at the options, which one of the following statements is true? Today's executives have a number of incentives for working hard. That is not there anywhere. So you cannot say that. Dhanush, you've answered, but you've wrong question to answer. It's slightly a difficult one today. Supraja says that it is given straight away in the second line. Okay, let us see where it is given in the second line. Let us look at B. Because he must have contacts with so many people, the modern executive may work 80 hours a week. Now that is very specific. 80 hours is not supported anywhere, but the gist of what he's trying to say that, because of the contacts with so many people, he has to work extra. Okay, let's keep it as answer. If you don't get a better answer, we'll come back. A man will never be the same after he becomes an executive. That also is not given here. So, of all the three options that are given here, B aligns with the main idea of the passage. That being, because of the number of contacts that an executive has to make every month, he has to spend an enormous amount of time. All right. So that he has quantified it, 80 hours a week. He's just quantified it. That is all. Okay. So we can say that B is the best answer in this particular question, in this particular passage. B can be the right answer, and it follows the main idea. Though it is a little ambiguous, I would go with B as far as this passage is concerned. A majority of you have got B. So let's stick with that. Let's go on. 16th question. 16th question. Kaushik, let me see you answering the 16th question. This is a very simple and straightforward question. Harshit Varma, got it right. Let's see, who else? Who else can answer this? Kaushik. Kaushik, little bit careful, Kaushik. Read the passage carefully. Harshita. Harshita, you got to be careful. Suprada, yes. Srinivas, yes. Shreya, yes. Dhanush. Dhanush. Shreya. You'll have to look at the answer. Don't just be misled by eye catchers. Don't just be misled. This is a fairly simple question. It's a fairly simple question. Don't just complicate it. Okay, now let's see. According to the passage, a major obstacle to the successful mining of gas hydrate is, where is that given? And to look at that, you have to look at this. Efforts to mine this burnable ice. However, you got to be careful about these kind of words which will change the mood of the passage. However, so all this is nice, but there is a problem. That is what he's trying to say. Okay. The potential is enormous. However, there is a problem. However, will pose one of the greatest engineering problems. It is given there. Problems. Obstacle. Same thing. We are talking about the same thing. So, and he goes on to explain that here. Ocean floor avalanche mining activity could conceivably release vast amounts of methane into the atmosphere, setting off an intensified greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect that could significantly alter the world's climate. So what is going to happen? Because this methane will be produced, the environment will be harmed. All right. Now let us look at the answer some of you have given. Some of you have said the recent climate changes. Why is it recent? Climatic changes caused by the greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is there here, but that's not what he's saying. What he's saying is, because of the mining activity, ocean floor avalanches will be set. they will release a large amount of methane into the atmosphere, and that will set up a greenhouse effect, not the um, recent changes causing the greenhouse effect. We are not talking about climatic changes. We are not talking about climatic changes causing greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is caused because of the ocean floor activity, which will produce a lot of methane, and that methane will in turn produce a greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is all right, but the greenhouse effect is caused by the methane that is released because of the ocean floor. All right. So answer therefore is the potential of mining activities to cause environmental harm. How is that done? Methane is produced, and that methane causes a greenhouse effect that would significantly alter the world's climate, which is the environmental harm that we are talking about. Some of you have answered this because there is methane, but he's talking about to the health of miners. Where is that given? If methane is released, it will pose a problem to everybody, not just miners. It will pose a problem to everybody, miners as well as majors. So the appropriate answer is C. You answered B because of greenhouse effect without answered D because of methane without thinking. So just don't get misled by these eye catchers. Read the passage, understand the passage, and answer the question. That is the only complexity in reading comprehension. Otherwise, reading comprehension, what is so difficult in reading comprehension? Let's look at the 17th question now, quickly. We are running out of time. We've got another chapter to start. 17th. 17th. It's an easy one. Let's answer this. Yes, Kiranmai, got it right. Good. Kaveri, yes, good. Yeah, I don't want to waste further time. It is notorious, famous for the wrong reasons. We already looked at that. It is notorious that the memory strengthens as you lay burdens upon it. Strengthens, that means your memory improves as you lay burdens upon it. Burdens means what? If you start using it, your memory will improve. It will not become unreliable. That is wrong. It will not become unreliable if it tires. No. If you lay burdens upon it, what is this? Your memory strengthens. So that is what you have to be careful about. So what are we talking about? It improves if it is used often. That's what it is. If you lay burdens upon it, how do you lay burden upon it? If you use it often. If you use it often, it will improve. That is the main idea of this passage. It is given in the form of a topic sentence. It is notorious that the memory strengthens as you lay burdens upon it. Okay, so answer is C. Let's go on. Let's finish off 18th. That's again very simple. 18th. Let's answer 18, please. And then we'll move on to, we'll take a break there and we'll the next passage, next chapter. Yes, Anaga, you got it right. Shreya. Shneya Shreya, yes. Srinivas Reddy, yes. Kiran Mai, yes. Yes, it's all very clear. So, Shreya, come on. What are you talking about? John is a student who is interested in studying. He prefers to have a good time. Naturally, when he took his examinations, he didn't get good marks. Since he was sure his him. He sent a telegram to his father's house. In that telegram, he asked his brother to prepare his father for the bad news. The next morning, he received the following answer. Father is prepared. You had better prepare yourself. That means he is warning that father knows about it. Now you got to prepare yourself because father is not going to keep quiet. So therefore, what we can expect is he is punished. Okay, so please understand that it's just a matter of interpretation. Okay, now we'll stop here. There are a few other passages which I think you can try on your own. I will supply the answers later. Okay, today we've got another important chapter that we need to start, and that is verbal analogies. So let's try to look at this analogies. So this is the most common type of analogy that you will see, where there are two words that are given and there's the relationship between these two words. What you need to do is find out what the relationship is, and from among the options that are given, choose an option where the word pair exhibits similar kind of relationship. Okay, so here we have some types of analogies. So let's quickly get in with the types of analogies. One is anathema is to curse. Anathema also means a curse, also means something which is intensely disliked or loathed. So anathema means curse, and both mean the same. Okay, so the answer is very clearly, okay, exalt and ennoble. Exalt means okay, to make noble. Ennoble is also to make noble. Both are synonyms, and this question is D. Okay, peerless means matchless, incomparable. Entice means to attract skillfully, okay, by arousing hope or desire. That is the meaning of the word entice. Entice is to attract somebody by doing certain things to arouse their desire or hope. Okay, prattle means to talk like a child. Okay, utter meaningless sounds. So that is prattle. Okay, so here the words are right. The words mean the same. That could be one kind of relationship, and that is the common kind of verbal analogies. The other one is antonyms, where the words are opposites of each other. Eternal means everlasting. Ephemeral means fleeting, okay, which occurs for a short time. Ephemeral means which occurs for a short time. So eternal and ephemeral are opposites. And here, among the options here, the answer is foreign is to familiar. Foreign is something which is unfamiliar. Foreign need not necessarily refer to an alien. Foreign is, this is a foreign term. I don't know anything about this. Okay, so foreign is unfamiliar, opposite is familiar. Okay, equivocal. We discussed this word the other day. Equivocal means subject to two or more interpretations, usually used to confuse. That is equivocal. This is equivocal. Okay, blithe means a light-hearted character. All right, a light-hearted spirit or a light-hearted character, or somebody who is casual. Somebody who is casual. Perplexing is difficult to understand. Okay, let's move on. Convocation. Here, the other kind of relationship is member and class. There is a class of things. There is a member of that class. Convocation is a kind of a meeting. Supplication is a kind of a prayer. This is the answer. Supplication is a kind of a prayer. Supplication means you supplicate to God. Okay, so it's a kind of a prayer. Convocation is a kind of a meeting. So there are meetings. This is the, I would say, a class, and this is a subject of a class. Okay, let's go on. Degree of intensity, where the words seem to be similar, but one word is a more intense form of the other. For example, shower. Shower means, you know, a light drizzle or a light rain. Cloudburst means a heavy rain. So here we are talking about two words. One is a more intense form of the other, a very common type of analogy. Cloudburst is a severe or more intense form of shower. All right. Similarly, recession and depression, both are economic terms. You may not know this, but let me explain this. What we are staring at today because of the lockdown, extended lockdown, is a kind of a recession. Recession means where the economy, instead of growing, it doesn't grow, or there is negative growth. Depression is an extreme form of it. It is an extreme form of recession. So recession and depression. Depression is a more extreme form of recession. All right, let's move on. Part to whole or whole to part. Let's give me an example. Okay, like for example, building is part of a compound. There is a huge compound and there is a building as part of the compound. Similarly, okay, you have Commonwealth. Commonwealth is a collection of countries. A single country is part of a Commonwealth. Commonwealth is a grouping of countries. So Commonwealth is to country. So both are related. Okay, compound is to building, Commonwealth is to country. Let's go on. Next one, a definition of a particular word. For example, we know the meaning of the word ascetic. We have discussed ascetic the other day. Rishi Muni, people who practice self-denial. Okay, they give up material benefits. They just give up this material life actually. So ascetic indulges in self-denial. That means he does not indulge in worldly pleasures. So this quality, self-denial, defines the word ascetic. Okay, among the answers that we have, the one that comes closest is profligate. Profligate is an extravagant person, a spendthrift. Squandering also means the same thing. Squandering also means overspending. So a profligate, a spendthrift also does the same thing. So squandering is the defining characteristic of a profligate person. So this type of analogy is definition. Definition means the second word defines the first word. Self-denial defines ascetic, squandering. Okay, let's go on. Lack of analogies. Let us see what it means. A callous person, we discussed callous person the other day. A callous person is a person who does not have sympathy, okay, or lacks sympathy. A callous person lacks sympathy. Similarly, an outgoing person lacks inhibition. Inhibition means, an intrinsic check or an impediment to free activity. Somebody who doesn't have inhibitions is an outgoing person, does not have or lacks inhibition. So this is a lack of analogy. Callous person lacks sympathy, an outgoing person lacks inhibition. Let's go on. Okay, manner. The other type of analogy is what is called manner. Okay, let us see what it means. Totter is to walk. Totter is a kind of walking. Okay, tottering is kind of walking. So totter is a kind of walk, a specific kind of walk. Similarly, you have stutter. Stutter means to stammer. Okay, totter is to walk awkwardly. Similarly, stutter is to speak awkwardly. Stutter, stammer, all mean the same. Okay, so this is what we mean by the type manner. So this, a manner, walk is, there are different kinds of walk. You can amble, means walk slowly. You can gallop, that means you can run. Totter is walk awkwardly. Similarly, speech, you can speak glibly, that means fluently. You can also stutter. So it's a manner of speaking. All right. So this is another different kind of a analogy. Let's go on. Function. Okay. Here, the second word introduces the function of the first. Now, if you look at grammar, colon, a colon, what's a colon? This is a colon. This is a colon. A colon is used to introduce something. Introduce something. So if you want to introduce a particular term, you write the term and then you put a colon there and then you define the term. So the purpose or the function of colon is to introduce. Similarly, the function of hyphen. What is hyphen? This is hyphen. A dash. Hyphen is a dash. The function of hyphen is to join. The function of introduce is colon. The function of colon is to introduce. The function of hyphen is to join. This is another type of analogy. Let's go on. Action and significance. So here one word is given. The second word gives the significance of the first word. Prostrate. Prostrate means to lie on the ground. Okay, lie on the ground to show your respect. Like for example, in Hindu religion, you do Shashtang Pranam. Means what do you do? Shashtang Pranam means you will lie down on the ground and salute somebody. That is the meaning of the word prostrate. Why is it used? Prostrate is used for deference, to show respect. Prostrate is used to show respect. Deference means respect. Similarly, okay, what is the answer? Smile. Why do you smile? Smile is used to indicate pleasure. Sorry, smile is used to indicate pleasure. So what is the significance of smile? Pleasure. What is the significance of prostrate? Difference or respect. Let's go on. Okay, the next set of type of relationship is pertaining to. Philatelic means collection of stamps. Philatelical is collection of stamps. Philately is collection of stamps. Similarly, numismatics means a collection of currency. Collection of coins is called numismatics. Similarly, philately is called collection of stamps. So pertaining to analogies. Then there are a whole lot of other analogies that are given here. Okay, they're not very difficult. Cause and effect. Soporific. That means you take a sedative, it leads to sleepiness. Product and source. Ceramic is made of clay. It is sourced from clay. Spatial order. Epilogue. In a novel, epilogue comes first, epilogue comes later, prologue comes first. So epilogue is the last part of a novel. Okay, time and order. So like this, there are a whole lot of types that are given. So why have we given so many types? We have given so many types for you to understand and identify without wasting time. Analogy question, given sufficient time, anybody can answer an analogy question. But we have given certain types of relationships which are often found in exams, so thinking you can identify the type. So that is why we have given this type. So I will circulate this material. Anybody who wants the material, please send that WhatsApp message to Anji so that you have the material. You can go through the types of relationships and be perfect with it. So let us quickly get on with the exercise today. So let us look at the exercise. Let's start with the first question. Okay, let me have the answers to the first question. What all you have to do is look at the pair of words, find the relationship between the pair of words, and see among the options given which pair of words exhibits a similar relationship. Decibel is to sound. Okay, decibel is a unit of sound. Similarly, ampere is the unit of current. So all of you have got it right. Answer is ampere is to current. Let's go on. Temptation is to resist. Temptation is to resist. So you resist a temptation, you avert a danger. Avert a danger. Avert means to prevent. Avert is to prevent. So answer is A. Resist a temptation, you avert a danger. Let's go on. Third one. Third one. Coffee is to sip. You sip coffee. You sip coffee. Similarly, what do? Yeah, I want answers here. Kaushik, you wear a helmet. See, when you sip coffee, you drink coffee. Okay, that means you imbibe it. you take it, okay? You get in, okay? You take it inside, all right? So you sip coffee to the intake. It's an intake. Whereas helmet and wear, you wear a helmet to protect, but you don't intake a helmet. Similarly, you don't drape a cloth. You don't drape a cloth. You don't take it as an intake. Whereas inhale and snuff is similar. Okay. So the relationship is similar here. Sip is a way of taking in coffee. Inhale is a way of taking in snuff. Answer therefore is C. Taste and tea are a little different. Okay. So answer is C. You got to be a little careful. Vandalism is to property. Vandalism, what does it do? Vandalism destroys property. Vandalism means what? You know, destroying property. Some students, what they do? They destroy, for example, benches in the class. They don't get any benefit out of it, but they just go and do it. Okay. They destroy, you know, electric switches and all that. They just destroy them. That is called vandalism. Okay. Some people go to a public park and destroy the benches there in a park. That is vandalism. All right. Vandalism means destroying property. So also, destruction and devastation are the same, Madam Kaveri. They are synonymous. The relationship here is you have to try to form a sentence. You have to try to form a sentence here and see whether the sentence applies to the given option. Vandalism destroys property. Does hypocrisy destroy praise, Lakshmi Priya? Does hypocrisy destroy praise? No, that's not the answer. Answer is deceit is to faith. Deceit means what? Deceiving somebody. So deceiving somebody, say for example, by concealing the truth. Therefore, deceit is to faith. Answer is deceit is to faith. Deceit is to tricking somebody, okay, by deceiving somebody by concealing the truth. So deceit destroys faith. Answer is A. All right. Kaushik, noun verb is all right. Yes, sir. Snuff is also a noun. Kaushik, snuff is also a noun. Inhale it is a verb. So there's nothing wrong with it. Okay. Inhale is a verb. Snuff is a noun. All right. Snuff in Telugu is called pudum. All right. So snuff is a noun. So there's nothing wrong with it. Let's go on. Medal is meant for decoration. What is the answer? Yes. Jewel is for wear. No, jewel. This is a verb. This is a verb. This is a verb. Answer. Okay. Necklace is meant for adornment. Adornment also is a kind of a decoration. Medal is for decoration. Necklace is for adornment. Adornment is also a kind of a decoration. Fall is to bruise. Fall is to bruise. Or fall leads to bruise. Fall leads to bruise. What is the answer? Fall leads to bruise. Fall leads to bruise. Lakshmi Priya, knife. You always does a knife always lead to a cut? Knife can lie there on a table. Okay, it doesn't lead to a cut. It is used to cut. Fall leads to bruise. Okay. Answer is A. Damage, obviously. Explosion leads to damage. Heavenly and divine both mean the same. Synonymous. Heavenly and divine both mean the same. What is the answer? What is the answer? Heavenly is to divine. Temporal we discussed the other day. Temporal is the opposite of spiritual. Temporal is earthly, worldly. Secular also means worldly. So both are synonyms. Temporal means worldly. Secular also means worldly. With the other day we discussed temporal is the opposite of spiritual. Okay. Parsimonious means stingy. Parsimonious means stingy. Parsimonious means stingy. Bellicose means ready to fight. Bellicose means ready to fight. Jingoistic means excessive love for extreme chauvinism. You can say jingoistic means extreme chauvinism, extreme love for your country. That is being jingoistic. Okay. Bellicose means ready to fight. Answer here is B. Okay. Gluttony, eighth one, gluttony. What is the answer? Gluttony means what? We discussed gluttony. What is gluttony? You'll have to see your answer. Gluttony means a guy who is very fond of, who's a glutton? A glutton is a person who is fond of food. Extreme fondness for food. That is a glutton. So gluttony means extreme fondness for food. Similarly, thirsty needs water. It is not fondness for water. Thirsty needs water. It is not. Hungry is to food. Then you can say thirsty is to water. Shreya, did you understand? If the given word pair is hungry is to food, then you can say thirsty is to water. But here we are saying gluttony is to food. Therefore, this is not the right answer. Okay. What is the answer? Adoration and love. Adoration is extreme love. That is all right. That is not a problem. But here we are looking at chauvinism. Chauvinism means extreme fondness for country or extreme love for country. That is chauvinism. Similarly, extreme fondness for food. Okay, ninth one. Bank is to river. This is an easy one. Right? Bank is to river. Bank is to river. Shore is to sea. Okay, that is similar. That is same. 10th one. Labyrinth is to maze. Labyrinth is to maze. Both mean the same. Labyrinth and maze both mean the same. A labyrinth is a maze. Okay, right? Similarly, enigma and mystery both mean the same. We discussed enigma the other day. Enigma is a puzzle. Okay. Something you don't understand. Enigma is a mystery. So 10th synonyms, answer is C. Okay, let's go to 11th. 11th, what's the answer for 11th? 11th one. 11th one, what's the answer? Supraja, you are giving the answer for the 11th one. Okay, that's right. 11th one, what is the answer? Temperature is to heat. Temperature is a measure of heat. Temperature is a measure of heat. Okay. Is speed a measure of distance? No way. No physics student will say that. Speed, is it a measure of distance? No. Calories is a measure of food? No. Thermometer is a measure of gauge? No. Votes, however imperfect, is a measure of popularity. You get more votes, it means you are more popular. So temperature is a measure of heat. Votes is a measure of popularity. Let's go on. Member is to parliament. Part to whole. Member is to parliament. So also what? Supraja has answered. Lakshmi Priya. Judge is not a part of a jury, madam. Judge is not a part of a jury. Jury is a collection of jurors. Jury is a collection of jurors. Judge is not part of a jury. Okay. King is... Okay, that is not true. Monarchy is a rule by a king. But what we are looking at is part to whole. You people don't know the meaning of the word pantheon. Pantheon is a collection of gods. Like the Hindu pantheon, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara are the important gods of the Hindu pantheon. Pantheon means collection. All right. So member is to parliament. God is to pantheon. Answer is B. It's a little difficult. Doesn't matter. Now 13th is easy. Let's see. how you can answer 13th. Please answer 13th. Please answer 13th. Spectacle is to eyes. Spectacle is to eyes. Spectacle is to eyes. Harshit has got it right. Srinivas, we'll have to see. Shriram has got a different, Tanuja, Supraja has got a different answer. Shreya answer. Yes, Supraja, you got the right answer now. Now let's see. Spectacle. Why do you use a spectacle? You use spectacle to correct eyesight. All right. A problem with the eyes. Similarly, you use pacemaker to correct a problem with the heart. And therefore, that is the answer. Helmet is used to protect the skull. It is not something which is used to correct the skull. All right. Wig anyway is a kind of a decoration. It is not used to correct something. Spectacle is used to correct eyesight, a problem of the eyes. Pacemaker is used to correct a heart problem. Okay. Rink is to skating. Rink is to skating. What is the answer, Kaushik? Skating is you skate on a rink. Rink is a place where you do skating. All right. Similarly, yes, Supraja has got it right. Similarly, arena is a place where you do wrestling. Rink is a place where you do skating. Arena is a place where you do wrestling. So answer is C. Okay. Okay, let's go on. 15th one. Cat is to feline. Feline means cat-like. Feline means cat-like. Okay. Here you may not know the answer. 15. No. A vixen is a female fox. Vixen is a female fox. So this is not the answer. Answer is horse is to equine. So equine is horse-like. She has an equine face. That means her face looks like a horse. So feline is cat-like. Equine is horse-like. Answer is B. 16th. Shoe is to leather. 16th. Shoe is to leather. 16th. Shoe is to leather. Tara. Yes, Tara, you got it right. You may not know what. Okay. Computer, is it made of software? Kaushik, think about it. Is it made of software? Yes. What is asphalt? Asphalt is a mixture of tar, stones, sand, all of these things, which is used to make a road. Asphalt is a mixture of tar, which is bitumen, sand, and stones. Okay, small stones. So you can say road is made of asphalt. Similarly, shoe is made of leather. Srinivas Reddy, waves. There is transmission of waves, but transmission is not made of waves. The sentence doesn't gel. Shoe is made. Always to check whether verbal analogy, your answer is right or not. What you have to do is make a sentence of leather. Then just check up whether the options given, your sentence gels. Shoe is made of leather. Road is made of asphalt. Okay. So the sentence gels and therefore your answer is B. 17th one. Prepared is to impromptu. Impromptu means unprepared. Impromptu means extempore. We discussed the other day. Extempore. Okay. Unprepared. So prepared and impromptu, the relationship is antonyms. They are antonyms of each other. So what is the answer? What is the answer? Yes, Ashreya has got it right. Kaushik has got it right. What is the answer? Kaveri has got it right. Answer is calculated is to spontaneous. Answer is calculated. Glib is very fluent. often insincere. A lot of people who are insincere are very glib. Glib means very fluent. Okay. So here answer is B, antonyms. 18th, rung is to ladder. Rung is to ladder. Now what is a rung? Now if you have a ladder like this, if you have a ladder, each of this is called a rung. This is a rung. This is a rung. That is the steps on a ladder. The steps on a ladder. So what is the answer? Rung is to ladder. Yes, Tara, you got it right. Lakshmi Priya, you got it right. Step in a stairway. So step in a stairway, that is very simple. Elements is to compound. Elements is to compound. A compound is made up of elements. Your chemistry tells you that. A compound is made up of, a chemical compound is made up of elements. So what is the answer? Now I've given the hint. What is the answer? A word is made up of letters. You're right. A word is made up of letters. Answer is B. A word is made up of letters. Let's go on. Wheel is to potter. Wheel is to potter. What is the answer? Wheel is to potter. Wheel is to potter. You got it right. Supraja, you got it right. Kaushik, you got it right. Potter uses a wheel. A carpenter uses a saw. Carpenter uses a saw. A guard need not use a whistle all the time. A guard does not use it. He may be equipped with a whistle. Sometimes a guard may have a whistle, may not have a whistle. So this is not a necessary piece of accessory for a guard. Okay, this is a tool that a potter uses and a carpenter uses. Okay. Similarly, a policeman needn't necessarily always have a baton. He may have a pistol or may not have a pistol also. So wheel is to potter is a tool used by the potter. Saw is a tool used by the carpenter. Religion is to atheist. Religion is to atheist. What is the answer? 21. Religion is to atheist. An avoids religion. A pacifist avoids war. Or an atheist does not believe in religion. A pacifist means one who wants peace. A pacifist does not want war. So answer is A. Agnostic is a person who is not sure whether there is God or not. Agnostic is a person who is not sure whether there is God or not. That is agnostic. Cell is to organism. Cell is to organism. Cell is part of an organism. Answer. Answer please. Cell is part of an organism. Yes. Shriya, right. Lakshmi Priya, yes. Kaushik, yes. Tara, yes. You all got it right. Atom is to molecule. Tepid is to lukewarm. Tepid is to lukewarm. Both mean the same. Tepid and lukewarm both mean the same. All right. Tepid and lukewarm both mean the same. It is not very hot. Something which is not very hot is called lukewarm. All right. Mild heat. That is what is tepid. Similarly, inferno and flame mean the same thing. Answer is D. Let's go on. 24th. Cold is to freezing. Okay. Okay. Cold is to freezing. Extreme cold leads to freezing. Extreme cold leads to freezing. Extreme irritation leads to fury. Fury means what? Fury means anger, great anger. Fury means great anger. So extreme cold leads to freezing. Extreme irritation leads to fury. Okay. Warm and tepid are the same synonyms. Damp and moist are the same. So both A and B can't be the answer. Extreme cold leads to freezing. Extreme irritation leads to fury. Answer is C. Medication leads to relief. Medication leads to relief. Answer. What is the answer? Harshit? No. Emancipation and liberation are both mean the same. Emancipation and liberation both mean the same. Both mean freedom. Emancipation means freedom. Liberation also means freedom. All right. So medication leads to relief. Emollient leads to soothing. Let me explain that. Emollient is a ointment or a moisturizer that you use to reduce discomfort or to calm, to soothe. Soothe means what? Calming. All right. So emollient is to soothing. Emollient is a kind of an ointment or an oil that you use for soothing purposes, for calming somebody or some injury. So emollient leads to soothing. Similarly, medication leads to relief. Painkiller reduces pain, but it is not a cure. Please remember, painkiller does not lead to cure. Painkiller reduces pain. Okay, so that is why A is not the answer, D is the answer. Okay, so we are running out of time today. Exercise 2, please do on your own. I will circulate the answers for exercise 2. Please send a request to Anji for the material. We will you can go through the answers yourself and check whether they are right or wrong. Analogies are pretty simple. Just follow the technique that I have discussed. Go through the common types of relationships. Also, the simple technique is try to form a word. Medication leads to relief. All right. So try to see whether this sentence can be fitted in the answer. If it gels, then that is your answer. That is how you have to answer the analogy question. All right. We will meet again on Monday, where I will take up sentence completion. And after that, we will discuss grammar. And that should complete our English preparation as far as BITSAT is concerned. I think next week onwards, you should be ready for English and logical reasoning questions in your. We will, in the weekly test, we will start including English and logical reasoning, because we have covered substantially whatever is required for English, and the most important things we've already covered. As far as spellings, synonyms, antonyms are concerned, you got to prepare on your own. There is nothing much to teach in terms of spellings. Spellings also, I will circulate the material. Most important words which are often misspelled, you have to go through them. And synonyms and antonyms, as I told you, it doesn't make sense to go through word list now. You have to rely on the vocabulary that you already have. But I will circulate that exercise on synonyms and antonyms just for the sake of practice. So substantially, what we need to do is fill in the blanks, where we will do phrasal verbs and then grammar. So that will complete English more or less. So I would say that 75% of English is already covered. Another 25% we will cover in the subsequent classes. So you are ready to have English also as part of your weekly test. We will start having English also as part of your weekly test. With that, we will stop the class here today. Have a good day. We'll meet again on Monday. Santosh.